Welcome to an all-new episode of St. Louis Presents. And Debbie, I'm really curious about someone you're going to be interviewing this hour because I don't know anything about a normal romance, let alone a paranormal romance.
Paranormal romance, that's right. We have Liz Schulte with us, and you know, we have a lot of really amazing authors in Missouri, and I'm really excited to hear more about how Liz has turned this into, you know, a full-time job, because wouldn't you love to quit your job and be a writer? I think all of us kind of dream of that. But most of
I'm thinking about it right now.
Okay, back with us,
Okay,
Steve.
sorry.
And it's nice and cozy here in the studio, but it does get awfully cold.
Yeah,
it's expensive to heat this time of year.
Yeah, Debbie, you know, for most of us, if we are worried about the cold, we put on an extra sweater or turn up the heat, but there are people that's more of a challenge for, and Heat Up St. Louis addresses that. We're going to be talking about that later.
Yeah, and of course the big question of the day, real or fake when it comes to Christmas tree?
Real.
Real, yeah.
Real.
But you know, the last few years, I feel like I am almost ready for an artificial tree.
You're getting old.
I know.
You're getting old.
All that and more is coming up next on this edition of St. Louis Presents. Well, the Easy Bake Coven series follows the mishaps of a witch named Selena Warren. Now, she is in her fourth adventure, and author Liz Schulte is joining me to talk about what her main character is up against in this latest installment of the series. Thanks for being with us, Liz.
Thank you for having me.
Now, the Easy Bake Coven, here is the first one, and you're already up to the fourth, which is Tiddly Jinx.
Yes.
Very clever. Easy Bake Coven, I love it. So paranormal romance is something that Steve thought was, you know, very unusual, but it's not exactly a new genre. I mean, people love this.
Yes, it's a very popular genre right now. You have things like the Sookie Stackhouse series and Twilight, and basically it's a romance novel with paranormal beings in it. So in my books, I have witches and elves.
And you have a ton of books. I was looking at the list of books, and you must just never stop writing.
That's pretty much true.
I was saying in the intro that we have quite a few very successful authors in this state, which is pretty amazing in itself. You are a self-published author, which I think is fantastic because in many ways the publishing industry has changed tremendously over the years, to the detriment of some, but for self-published authors, I mean, this is incredible opportunities. So talk a little bit about what you see as the advantages of publishing on your own.
When I decided to self-publish, I really didn't know much about publishing. I had written a book and I didn't know what to do with it. And I started checking my options, and I wasn't sure that finding an agent was the right path for me because you have to query hundreds of agents almost to get one person interested. And I had a day job, and this was really a hobby, and so I didn't know that I wanted to commit that much time. So what I did was I just continued to write because I enjoyed it, and then I didn't do anything with my books at all. And then I met a self-published author named H.P. Mallory, who became one of the early Kindle millionaires, and she told me all about self-publishing, and I decided I'd give it a chance. I like that I get to control my characters. I like that I control my pricing and I control the covers. Like, it's all under my control. So my vision of the book is what I'm able to produce.
So when you first started writing, as you said, you had a day job.
Yes.
Now talk about that moment when you decided, I'm quitting the day job, I'm doing this full time. That had to have been scary because so many people would love to do that and just don't have the nerve.
It's terrifying. I was so frightened. I had saved my money, like my publishing money, in a separate account for a long while, and then it got to the point I was making so much more money self-publishing than I was at my day job that my day job almost felt like a burden to go to. So I went ahead and took that step, but I thought about it probably for 6 months before I could actually talk myself into doing it and give up my guaranteed income.
Right.
Yeah.
And also probably a learning curve for other people who know you to not just assume that you're sitting around the house all day in your robe, just like, watching
Yes.
talk shows.
Yes, I get that all the time, especially with my siblings. Like they'll call me like, "Can you go pick up my kids from school, or can you do this?" And I'm like, "Well, I have a job." And so it's that constant explaining to people in your life that you do actually have a job, even if you are home sitting in front of your computer all day. It's still a job.
Yes. And a difficult one to make characters that people really connect with. So what is Celine up to in this 4th edition?
Oh, trouble. She's always up to some sort of trouble. In the 4th edition, she has gotten back from purgatory, which she went to in the 3rd, and she's back, but she's brought something with her, and it is threatening to destroy the veil between the human world and the paranormal world. And so...
And now, do you ever take any advice or hints from your readers about where Celine should go next?
Not where they should go, but sometimes with spinoffs. Like, as I'm approaching the end of this series, I've had readers from England especially that have been messaging me, telling me I should have a spinoff of the other coven members of the witches. And so I have actually explored that. I've written a short story for one of them, and I think it might work. And so there might be a whole new series that spins off with just the other witches.
Wow. Well, it is the Easy Bake Coven series. The author is Liz Schulte. Tiddly Jinx is book 4. And can people just find this online? What's the best place to go?
Yes, they can find it online. I also am in some bookstores in St. Louis. The Book House carries my books, and they're at Amazon, Barnes & Noble, iBooks, any of that.
Fantastic. Well, best wishes for your continued success, and it was wonderful to meet you, Liz Schulte. Let's turn it over to Steve and see what he's got cooking in news.
Thanks, Debbie. Well, we have a reminder for property owners in the city of St. Louis. The deadline for paying your real estate and personal property tax bill is December the 31st. Now through then, you can make payments for the current tax year at one of 4 satellite bank locations, online at stlouiscollector.com, by calling 1-800-2PAY-TAX, or you can come in person to City Hall Room 109. The holiday season can be a joyous yet stressful time for many people. Developing a support system has many positive benefits, including reduced depression and anxiety, as well as a longer, healthier life. If you're seeking stress relief, these tips from BJC may help. First, review your current family and friends and evaluate who may be helpful. Try new activities to expose yourself to different people. Join a book club. Get active with being on a sports team. Let important people in your life know that you appreciate them, and most importantly, be willing to ask for help. The Anheuser-Busch Holiday Lights display is back and even brighter, with more than 500,000 lights and a variety of new experiences for its 29th year. Every Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 6 until 9 p.m. through January the 4th, visitors can enjoy a self-guided walking tour beginning at the St. Louis Brewery Tour Center and winding through the iconic brewery campus. This year's holiday offerings also include beer sampling, a s'mores station, beer garden buffet, and more. More information can be found at budweisertours.com. Again, Debbie, that's the annual St. Louis Brewery Holiday Lights display, Thursdays through Sundays from 6 until 9, and that runs through January the 4th. And this time of year, the holiday season, it's easy to forget that while for most of us, we spend our time celebrating the season, but it can be a challenging time for other people.
Absolutely. And it's cold out there too, so when you're at a point when you barely have money for maybe holiday presents, not being able to pay for the heating can cause a lot of other health and safety issues.
That's right, and unfortunately, there's a serious community-wide problem, but there is good news. Help is available.
Heat Up St. Louis was formed to help people in need stay warm during the cold winter months. And here to tell us a little bit more about the organization is Lance Lacombe. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me. Great to be here.
I think people are probably familiar with the organization Heat Up St. Louis, but maybe not some of the specifics. How many people on average do you think Heat Up St. Louis helps each year?
Sure. Last year, in the winter and summer, because we do help with utility bills in the summer, we helped 75,000 people. That's 75,000 people that we changed their life in a positive fashion, raising over $1 million. And I think what's important for folks to understand when they do donate to us, 100% of everything goes towards helping those in need. Our board underwrites all the administrative costs, so if you give a dollar goes to helping those in need.
And these are people, specifically, don't you target the elderly, low-income people, people perhaps with disabilities?
Yes, we're targeting those who are most in need. You know, there's a lot of talk with the economy about it picking up, growth picking up, but there's a segment of our population that is still left behind, and those, particularly those who are disabled or those who retired or on fixed incomes. And with utility and energy bills going up, those are the ones who suffer the most, and particularly when we have the polar vortex like we did a few weeks ago. But what's very important for folks who are in need, who don't have a lot of resources, we help them with energy efficiency. We educate them on how they can become more efficient and lower their bills. If they can't afford that, we hook them up with agencies that provide grant funding and things of that nature. And also when folks are threatened with shut off, their bill has gone unpaid for a couple months, we give them assistance there as well. But important for folks to also understand, if you're behind on your bill, do call your utility provider. You just can't ignore it. There are laws to protect you. We will help you, but you have to engage in the process to be protected.
That's an important point.
You know what's kind of ironic, I think? It's sometimes the people that have trouble with their utility bills, the people who can afford it sometimes pay less utility bills than people that can't. You know what I'm getting at? Sometimes low-income people, they don't have the most energy-efficient furnace or the best windows. So the people that can afford the less sometimes, it costs them more.
It's a great point. As conservation becomes such a big part of our society, we become a greener, more sustainable society, those technologies cost money, and they're only available to those who can afford those technologies. So it's very important that folks who can benefit from those technologies, we get them connected with partnering agencies that can help them financially, because those of means will leave behind those without means when it comes to conservation. So it's very important we do the education and we hook them up with the right agencies that can provide that funding.
We've also had news stories in the last few weeks, which is doubly sad, that a lot of people who are having trouble paying their bills are getting calls from scam artists who are saying, you got to pay your bill, and they threaten a shut-off, and so then they end up giving money to somebody who's actually not helping them with their bills at all. But for somebody, when you mentioned about make sure to let the utility know, I think that's maybe something people forget to do, or they're afraid, I can't pay my bill, and they're scared and they don't know what to do, so they ignore it. But if you do call the utility, will they work with you, or what happens then?
They will work with you, and there are also, when you call the utility in Missouri, and we do work on both sides of the river in Illinois and Missouri, but in Missouri there are consumer protection laws that kick in from November through March, recognizing that it's the cold weather season. It can prevent you from being shut off. But if you ignore your bill, you don't do anything about it, then you can't take advantage of those protections. So you need to call your utility provider, have that conversation, get on a payment plan, so you can qualify for those protections.
Yeah. Lance, isn't it true too for a lot of people, maybe if they're having trouble paying their utility bills, they maybe sometimes try to heat their homes in ways that aren't safe? Maybe if you're afraid of losing the heat in your home, you might use the oven or a space heater, and that's can be problematic.
It is very problematic, and that's why the Fire Chiefs Association and fire departments throughout the region work with us, which kind of surprises people. They say, you know, why are they working with you? But this time of year, just as you said, folks will use space heaters or ovens or other heat sources as their primary heating source, and that's not safe. That causes fires. It's very, very dangerous. You want to use a regular home furnace, and so that's why I work very closely at the Fire Chiefs Association and get that message out as well. There are resources, there are tools, there are folks that are willing to help you. You just have to reach out and ask.
Now you see the hotline number on the screen right now, and do people, Lance, contact Heat Up St. Louis specifically and say, I need help, or are you more getting referrals from other people who, like the power companies?
Sure, we try to act as a one-stop shop, if you would. Call us, explain to us your situation. We'll work with the utilities. We'll identify if you're eligible for programs run by partnering agencies. We want to make this as painless as possible for you, as seamless as possible. So call us, tell us your situation, and we'll get you connected with the right resources.
And Lance, you're always looking, Heat Up St. Louis is always looking for volunteers too.
Certainly, we're always looking for volunteers. We have a couple fundraisers throughout the year. A big one is the Hardee's Rise and Shine event in February. We had several hundred volunteers out last year, always looking for more volunteers, and throughout the year. So call us as well there, and we can get you connected with that and into our organization. We'd love to have everyone.
Now, just out of curiosity, was it a better summer for cool down St. Louis? Because it wasn't as hot as it normally is.
Well, you would think, but what you're finding, over the past couple of years with the way the economy's been going back to 2008, and we had a couple very warm summers and a couple very cold winters, people are not getting ahead of their utility bills. So they go into the cooling season behind on their bill. They go into the heating season behind on their bill. And so the warmer weather, the cooler weather, more moderate weather does help, but we do have a universe of folks out there that are just constantly behind, and we need to find a way to keep them ahead of the game.
I feel warmer just talking to you.
It is Heat Up St. Louis, and if you would like to make a donation and help some people in our community stay warm this winter, you can just send your check right there. And Lance Lacombe, thanks so much for your work, and happy holidays.
Thank you. Happy holidays to you as well.
Yeah, we hope you enjoyed this episode of St. Louis Presents.